Hello, everybody. Welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to our match reaction show. It's finished. Manchester United 3, Fulham 1. Manchester United booking a place in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. But I tell you what, the scoreline does not tell the story because, oh my God. And as there's the headline, I mean, it's Alexander Mitrovic. What the hell were you thinking? What the hell were you doing? And I mean, it's just a collective, it was a bit of a collective meltdown, wasn't it, from the entire Fulham team over that just one incident. And let's play it back because I think we'll start off with the football. So it starts with the one time that Manchester United are able to get a numerical advantage against the defense. Where now every time and throughout the game, Fulham were very, very solid defensively. Every time United tried to counter, they had an answer for that. They weren't allowing them to counter. That one time, I think it was Bruno who picks the pass to Anthony. And that was the first time that they actually got a counter that was actually going to work. So Anthony gets the pass. It's a wonderful pass from Anthony to Sancho, something that I always criticize Anthony for, but he actually got a very good pass out to Sancho. Sancho should have shot first time, but he dallies on it, and then he shoots finally because of lack of confidence. And that's another issue with Sancho. But he finally shoots, and I'm just going mad because I'm thinking the chance is gone, right? Because he's missed a chance, an easy open goal, he's missed it. But then the thing comes out that it's actually the hand. Now, there were some commentators were saying, is it going in? I think it was going in. From wherever I could tell, I think it was going in. The problem is because he's moved with it, so you can't tell. But at the point of impact, it looked like the ball was going in because the shot has to be on target. From that sort of range, the shot will be on target. It's absolutely impossible that somebody's not going to put it on target. So it's going to be on target. Was it intentional for Willian? It was not intentional. But the fact is, once it hits your hand, and because it's a denial of a clear goal, it's hitting your hand. Intent doesn't matter. At that point, it's going to be a red card. It's a handball. It's going to be a red card. That's the standard law. That's the standard rule. I don't know why Marco Silva runs after the referee. I don't know what he's trying to talk to him. The fact is, if it's hit the hand, it's hit the hand. It doesn't matter whether it's intent. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. That is the rule, right? As soon as it hits your hand in an as soon as your hand is blocking a sure shot goal, it is a red card. It happened against Nantes as well, if you remember. A few weeks ago in the Europa League, that happened as well. I mean, it wasn't intentional, but it just hits your hand. It doesn't matter, right? Because that's the rule. So I don't know why Marco Silva is going. So he gets sent off, right? And the problem is because Marco Silva has got sent off, now the players are a bit incensed. They're a bit heated. And Mitrovic doesn't need time to light a gasket. But what he has actually done is he's encouraged his players to also get mad, which you don't want to do. As a manager, you want to be calm, so your players can be calm, right? But he gets himself sent off. The referee obviously has seen it. I don't even know why he bothered to go to the monitor because it's a handball. And he goes back and he says, fine, now it's got to be a red card because he's given a penalty. Willian's got to get a red card. There's no other option there. Once you give a penalty, you have to give a red card. So he gives a red card to Willian. Again, I don't know why Mitrovic decides that he wants to take it up, wants to go to fight. Because at 11v10, I would have still backed Fulham to get to penalties at the very least. I would have backed them to get to penalties. Even at 1-1, I would have said Fulham could have got to penalties because United had they were not laying a glove on Fulham. They were absolutely abysmal up to that pass from Bruno to Anthony. They were absolutely abysmal throughout this game. There was no way back into it. They didn't look like they were going to get back into it. And so I would have fancied them at 11 versus v10 to still take it to penalties at the very least. But Mitrovic just decides he wants to, do something to ref, and he pushes them away. And what's the ref got to do? He's got to show him a red card. It's going to happen. So it was completely unnecessary. The entire chain sequence of events was entirely unnecessary, and it all starts because Marco Silva loses his head, and subsequently the players kind of also just look shell-shocked. And the problem is when you got 3 red cards in like 20-30 seconds or 40 seconds, I think it was 3 red cards in 40 seconds, what you've done is the players are shell-shocked because suddenly you're 11v11, you're 1-0 up, you're cruising, Fulham were cruising, and suddenly you're down to 9 men, and you're like thinking, oh my God, what just happened? We just lost 2 of our attackers and our manager is gone. What are we gonna do? Who's gonna what are we doing? So they just disintegrated. The penalty was converted, and after that, that goal from Sabitzer, it would not have happened. 11v10 also, I don't think that goal goes in because they just lost their heads, and Manchester United were like, cool, let's go in, and they got that goal. I think it was a wonderful finish from Sabitzer. So it will get lost in all the hoopla and everything. It will get lost, but I think it was a wonderful finish from Sabitzer. And once it's 2-1, Fulham are not getting back into it, and they didn't, and Bruno finishes it off. But for the first 70 minutes, I thought Fulham were absolutely excellent. And they deserved that lead. They deserved to win the game up to 70 minutes. They deserved to win the game. Let's be clear, because for me, United's man of the match is probably David De Gea. Despite the fact that they won 3-1, I would say United's man of the match is David De Gea because he pulled off a couple of big saves to keep it down to 1-0 up until the point that meltdown happened. So that shows you how bad United were in those first 70 minutes. The goal that Fulham scored was really good as well. And it all comes in the first half because United are panicking. They're panicking. They were panicking. And I know what the reason, who the reason was for that panic, but I will talk about that later. But they were panicking. A lot of the clearances were hashed. I mean, David De Gea was giving his distribution was not that good, by the way, even though he was man of the match, my man of the match, his distribution wasn't that, his distribution was shaky at times. The press had them rattled. The Fulham's press had them rattled. And, it all comes because McTominay, I think, shanks his clearance, goes out for a corner. It comes back, and it's, again, the person at fault, Harry Maguire, the person not at fault for the goal, probably, but he was definitely at fault throughout this game for that shakiness. Because again, you watch Harry Maguire, I think, has actually tackled Marcus Rashford. He's actually caused Marcus Rashford to go down because that's what Harry Maguire does. And that goal is a good header from Mitrovic, by the way. I think it's good. That's a typical Mitrovic performance, isn't it? He gets a goal and then he gets himself sent off. But that's a wonderful header, and it's a beautiful cross in. And the cross is good. The header is perfect. There's no foul. There's nothing. It's a fantastic goal, well-deserved lead. And just they couldn't hold on. They just lost their heads with that penalty. And that's what happens, It's sad. It is sad. And I feel for Fulham and I feel for Willian. Willian did not deserve to get sent off. But the fact is that he has to be sent off. It's the rule. And that's where we are at with that. But United now booked a place in the semi-finals. Fulham are going to miss Mitrovic for a few games. Willian probably will be suspended for a game, and there might be a fine coming in. So, 3 red cards in a game. There's probably going to be some sort of repercussions for that. But it's not that. I think they'll be gutted with the fact that they lost this quarterfinal, because they had a very good chance. They had it been 11v11, they would have gone through. Even if that goal had gone in from Sancho, they just looked like the better team, Fulham, throughout that first 70 minutes. But then it just all blew up. But what I will say, I think Harry Maguire, there's a good thing that has happened is Harry Maguire is now suspended for the semi-final. That's a good thing for Manchester United, because the fact is, throughout the first 70 minutes, every time I saw him on the ball, or every time I saw, an attack, Harry Maguire is a problem. He's a liability. He needs to be gone in the summer. I mean, I don't care. There's no need for him to have him for squad depth, because having him in the side means you have to play him, and he should not be playing. He should not be playing as a reserve centre back. He should not be playing. He should not be playing at all. Like, basically, even I would, it's tough even to watch him for the last 5 minutes of games, but he really shouldn't be playing unless you start a 4-1 up or 4-0 up or something like that. Maybe then you can give him a few minutes, but he really shouldn't be starting games at this point. He's just a liability in that defense. I was surprised Erik ten Hag went with him. It should have been Victor Lindelof, and that move almost cost him the game, because when you've got Scott McTominay in front of him, McTominay didn't cover himself in glory either. But because you've got Scott McTominay in front of him, you need a defender who's going to be able to hold his own. Maguire wasn't able to do that. So, as bad as Scott McTominay was, Maguire, having Maguire and McTominay together just makes it worse, and it made it worse. And Erik ten Hag got away with it, but I hope he's learned his lesson that you can't trust Maguire in big games, and you shouldn't be playing him. It should be Victor Lindelof if you don't have Rafael Varane. But what it also shows is that without Rafael Varane and Casemiro, Manchester United are very, very average. They were bang average. And they looked out of sorts. I thought Sancho was pretty bad on the right wing. That right wing situation is a real problem. I was surprised Sancho started as well, because I thought, Pellistri did quite well to hold on to his place. If Antony is not starting, you start with Pellistri. I don't know why they started Sancho, because maybe it was the experience, but experience has to come from somewhere. You can't just keep saying experience. Somebody has to play to get that experience. And I was just surprised that Pellistri didn't get the opportunity, but then he didn't come on at all. So probably there was something more to it. But yeah, I mean, I think his selections almost cost him the game. But ultimately they got away with it, because Fulham just had a complete meltdown in that 70th minute. And that's the thing. I mean, if you look at it, back at it, people might just talk about that what happened after the 70th minute and how they completely capitulated. But for those first 70 minutes, they were good value for a win and a place in the semi-finals. And that's the tough part. That's the thing that's going to hurt a lot of the fans. That's the thing that's going to hurt a lot of the players, because they'll be thinking, we had this in the bag. We had total control of this game. And suddenly a few of our players our manager and our striker decided to cost us that game. And Willian did what Willian did. You can't, it's not intentional. He's just trying to block it and it hits his hand. So you can't really blame him. But the other two, they were in control of their own destiny, and they didn't. They let them down. I think that's the way to put it. I mean, Silva and Mitrovic let the team down. But what I will say also, Joao Palhinha, what a fantastic player. I'm surprised that Fulham got him. I'm surprised they got him for so cheap. But he is a fantastic midfielder, and as I say, a defensive midfielder makes so much difference to a side. He was not there in the last couple of games. They looked absolutely average for him. He comes in, they look good, and because Manchester United have got McTominay instead of Casemiro, Palhinha looks that much better. So it was almost a case of two midfielders. I think that if Fulham had won, that midfield would have been the difference in the end, because Fulham's midfield was head and shoulders above Manchester United's. But as it stands, that the red cards, of course, changed the whole game. So it's sad for Fulham. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to Manchester United, of course. I'm happy they win the semi-final. I don't think United are going to win the cup, and I think Brighton are going to be much, much tougher. What they will have to do for the FA Cup semi-final, if they're serious about it, is wrap up Varane and wrap up Casemiro and Cotton Wool. Don't let them get red cards. Don't let them get injured, because if those two don't play in that semi-final, you can forget about it. Brighton are going to go through to the final. So I don't think United will win it anyway, even if they do get to the final. But because I think City are just too good at the moment. But if they want to get to the final, they're going to have to make sure that Casemiro and Varane are on that pitch, because otherwise it's going to be, Brighton are not going to make the mistakes that Fulham made, and they're not going to have that meltdown. So let's see what happens. But anyway, share your thoughts on the game, of course. Smash a like for Manchester United. Smash a like for their win. It's one for it's good. It's good to see them getting through to another cup semi-final. They've had a good season so far, and it will continue. So I'm glad about that. But do share your thoughts, of course, and do subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We got El Clasico coming up, so we got more drama potentially. So do subscribe so you can get notified as videos drop. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. We'll see you again soon. Bye bye.